Let's do a quick update on gold here. There was a bounce here. This bottomed right on the 38% Fibonacci retracement from this bottom to this top. That was a potential spot for a final bottom. We got in on the swing, but I advised subscribers to take profits right at this trend line ahead of the FOMC meeting. I was always expecting that there would be an attack. Not the FOMC meeting, I'm sorry, but the jobs report tomorrow. I was expecting there would be an attack. It's occurring a little bit earlier than expected, but we got out on a tag of this trend line yesterday, so we're back to waiting again to see whether or not we're going to come down and make an undercut. And there's some gaps down here in the minors and also in GLD, and very often those gaps will fill. So it looks like the rescue before the holiday, another thing I was expecting to happen, the Fed and the government is always going to be very motivated to pump the stock market up ahead of a holiday like that. There's a lot of spending that, you want people optimistic. They want them spending money for the holidays. But it looks like the selling pressure from the daily cycle low that was temporarily aborted prior to the 4th of July holiday is now resuming. The Fed probably has just made that selling pressure worse by not allowing it to complete naturally. Things are kind of playing out as we expected. I fully expected there would be a rescue to the stock market. There was. I fully expected that rescue to fade once the holiday was over, and it is. I was expecting an attack on gold on the employment report. That's already happening. So now we're just waiting to see basically what happens today and then tomorrow after the employment report, which is probably going to come in better than expected. Whether it actually is better than expected, anybody's guess. But that would be the potential for gold to maybe undercut this and give us a bottom a little deeper in the timing band. I was always a bit nervous about this being a bottom because it's a short cycle, and I was expecting a short cycle because the last two daily cycles were really long. So I was expecting this to be short, but this is even a little shorter than what I was expecting. So I would be, completely happy to see this undercut tomorrow, get a little deeper into this daily cycle, and then we will start looking for that bottom, and we will be getting aggressively long the metals. More, when everybody else becomes bearish and they can't see any way that the metals can bottom, that's when we want to be buying. We try and time that with the cycle durations, sentiment indicators, and such. So, I'll say it again. You still have time to get on board the SMT, and we'll try and get in right here at the bottom instead of not being able to pull the trigger at the bottom and then waiting far too long, up in here when your emotions give you the all clear and the fear of missing out is strong, and then you end up buying it at the top of a rally and get caught in a correction. I'm pretty sure that's what's happened to a lot of people in the stock market. They bought at the top of the initial correction when the market started to move down into its daily cycle low, and then they became convinced that there was really no risk on that rescue ahead of the 4th of July, and now they're probably going to get dragged down into what I expect is going to be a fairly deep and scary daily cycle low. And I'm especially watching the banks. If the banks really start to collapse, and here I'll put a chart up here. This is the regional banks. All right, so you can see that this entire intermediate rally in the stock market hasn't been able to get much traction in the banks. So the banks are at extreme risk right here, that when the general stock market rolls over, that the banks are going to come down, break this low, and make a lower low. And it's going to add a lot of selling pressure to the general stock market, and it will drive buying pressure in the gold market as people become fearful of having their money in the banks. So once again, I'll put the link to the premium website. Anybody can subscribe, get on board ahead of the bottom here in gold. Once I think the turn has occurred and we've put a little distance between price and the final bottom, then I will close the SMT to prevent people from joining at these tops and then just getting sucked down into these corrections. We want to buy at the bottom when everybody else is scared, and we want to sell at the top when everybody only sees blue skies ahead. And right now we are much closer to a bottom than we are a top, and people are starting to get scared. The fear of missing out is starting to fade away, and that's the time when we want to be looking for the setup to get into our long positions.